Hello friends, welcome back. Come on in. I've got another great video for you today. If you noticed my previous video I did, I'm doing kind of a year-end wrap-up of what I read in 2021. If you're new here, welcome. I would love to have you consider subscribing. I share all about the romance novels that I read here on my channel, so if you like reading romance, this is the place to be. If you like the video, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. It really does help my channel. Okay, great. Let's get going. Today's video is all the contemporary romances and Rockstar romances, two separate lists that I made in the year 2021. It was kind of hard for me. Contemporary romance, I put books in that list, which I felt didn't have like a super specific trope to assign to, or maybe that there was too many that I could have put it in a few different lists. So the contemporary romance list is quite long actually. And if you look down below the video, on my channel, there's video and playlists. I have been organizing my videos via trope in the playlists because if you feel like reading a second chance romance, you can click on that and there's all my videos I've done on second chance romances. So I just felt like it was a little bit better way of organizing. And let me tell you, contemporary romances list is quite long. So let's get going. Like I said in my previous video, I will reiterate here that it's in no particular order. I probably went mostly chronologically as far as, because I've done videos on all of these books, right? So I just went through my channel and divided up that way. So there's no rating system here as like my favorite or whatever. So the first one we're going to talk about today, although is one of my favorites, it is Sticking to the Terms by Cassandra P. Lewis. I adore her books. I am thrilled to be able to tell you that she's got at least 2 books coming out this year, which I'm so excited to read. I just love her writing. I love her characters, particularly her male characters. She writes just, yes, I just adore them. And Enzo was like that in this book. The book is about Enzo and Dylan. It's a little bit of like fake dating, fake engagement mixed in there. They meet at a bar and Dylan is on the at a club. Dylan is on the dance floor dancing and Enzo is drawn to her in the way that she's dancing. Now, not sexy time, but like just, she seems very free and she's very into how she's feeling about the music, and that is coming across in how she's moving across the dance floor. The freeness that he witnesses with her, he is drawn to. He tries to get her to go out with him a bit more, a few times before she actually agrees, and she doesn't even actually really agree. They set up this arrangement, right? I just freaking loved Enzo, how he talked about Dylan and women in general. Just freaking amazing. You guys, highly recommend this book. And also, if you want a great holiday read, she wrote my favorite Christmas book ever, which is Say Yes to Christmas. Add it to your list. Freaking phenomenal as well. The next book on my list is Conflict of Interest by Dee Lagasse. The book is about Audrey and Leo. I sat down and read this book in one sitting. Oh my gosh, I just blew through it. I love how Dee talks about family and crafts the stories and the characters. Every book she writes, and have I read all of them? I think I've read all of them. It just gets better and better. I just adore her storytelling. She does write a little bit more tame, you know what I mean, story, which is not the majority of what I read. The majority of what I read is spicy. I love the way Dee writes her stories, so she's a go-to for me. There's a bit of workplace mixed in there because I feel like since we are talking about contemporary, I'm going to try to give you another like trope involved in the books. Next we have One of my favorite books of the year, hands down, bar none. I actually have the paperback. Before Us, There Was Him by Lou Stock. You guys, if you didn't grab this when I did my video on it, you need to grab it now. Lou is a dark horse writer, dark horse author. You will freaking love her books. This book, I couldn't even, like, I was speechless. I just love this story. It's Riley and Lucas. It's first love, epic road trip, throw my Kindle in moments, the most phenomenal freaking playlist that you will ever see in a book. I love how Lou always marries the two. I was literally just the other day, I'm not kidding you, I was driving in the car and Blurry by Puddle of Mudd came on, which is one of the songs on the playlist. Immediately, I go right back to this book. I love that Lou's books always do that to me. Highly recommend. Next, we have Perfect Dissonance 1 and 2 by L.M. Kennedy. The main characters are Lila and Jared. Very interesting. This book was really different. I hadn't read a book like this. The two characters meet in rehab. Lila is a therapist and she is going through school, and one of the things that she has to do to get credit hours towards her degree, of course, is she volunteers at a rehab center, and Jared is a patient. Now, it's not that kind, like, you know, doctor and patient thing. It's not like that. That just happens to be where they met. Really, really interesting. And I liked the fact that there was a lot of psychology and talk about Jared trying to be better and stay on the straight and narrow. He's a musician, so there's a little bit of Rockstar romance mixed in there. And I particularly liked Lila because of, gosh, I'm hoping that's the right name. I kind of screwed up a name, I feel like, in my last video, and I'm trying not to do that this time, but I'm pretty sure it was Lila. I also love the fact that it took place in Chicago, which of course you guys know. That's where I'm from, and I love reading a book that has Chicago as the background. Moving on to The Daredevil by Dylan Allen. This is a Rivers Wild novella. This is 1001 Dark Nights, I think, is the, not series, but the group that it's part of. I freaking love the Rivers Wild books of hers. It was really interesting to read about Tyson and Dina. We had, of course, met them in the previous Rivers Wild books, so it was interesting to get to know them more. Dina, I really liked from the previous book that she was in The Sound of Temptation, and she was Beth's best friend, I believe. I hope I'm getting that right. Sometimes the books, like I talked about with that book, I think it was in my previous video, that sometimes the characters with interconnected standalones or series, like I forget which book they're in, but I'm pretty sure I'm right there. And I loved this. This is a workplace romance. Highly recommend any of Dylan's books. The next book is a book that I met the author on TikTok. TikTok has been really fun. I white-knuckled joining TikTok forever. I was like, I can't do it. I can't keep up with another social media. Let me tell you, it's been wonderful to meet and be able to connect with so many other book friends and meet new authors. And that was this book, which is Denim Blues by Ashley Kay. This is the first book in her Montana Airs series. I cannot wait to read the second one, hoping to be able to do that. I just loved, it's Preston and Savannah. And it's funny because I remember with this book that Preston and his twin brother, shoot, now I'm forgetting his name. But to me, they seemed like they should have each other's names. So I kept thinking Preston was the brother. Oh, why can't I remember his name? Well, I haven't read his book yet, so don't come at me for that. But I really liked this book. The level of drama was perfect, and also the level of spicy was perfect as well. I really, really liked it. Next, we have my dear, dear, dear bestie friend, Dawn Edwards. This Dawn, you guys, I'm telling you, is another dark horse author. If you guys have not read her yet, I highly recommend her book. She released 2 books in 2021. I will be including the first book she released in another video because it's on another list. But then we have on this one, we have Lockdown Lust. This is Cassie and Dylan. Oh my gosh. I was messaging her as I was reading it. I freaking love Cassie and Dylan. This is forced proximity in the way that the book takes place at the beginning of the pandemic. It's not a huge thing. The book is not all about the pandemic, but that's what brought them together. And it's forced proximity in the way that Cassie is from Australia, but visiting in London for work. Dylan is English. She's renting his place as an Airbnb, and then the pandemic happens and she can't leave and he needs to come home. So that's where the forced proximity comes in. I freaking love this book, you guys. Jump on Dawn's books. I've done videos on all of them, so go check them out. Highly recommend. And last on my contemporary romance list is Meet Me in the Sunflowers by Sophie Blue. I really was excited to read this book. I knew that it was about her. It was inspired on the loss of her grandfather. So I'm, totally into that kind of stuff. I mean, that sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? Like, I think I'm a pretty spiritual person, and I definitely feel that I have connection to my relatives that have passed, and that I do believe that if we open our eyes and we look around, that our loved ones that have crossed over give us signs that they're still around us all the time. And that was very much what this book was about. Isabel and Tyler are the main characters. They meet by chance at a sunflower field, and then they go on a road trip. Great, 2 road trip books that I read this year. Great story. The next trope we're going to talk about in this video is the Rockstar trope. It is actually one of my favorites as well. There's just, I think, something really that, more so than acting, but we all have that rock star that we're like crushing on, whether we're, 15, 25, 30, or, older than that. Some of those crushes never go away. So there's really something endearing and that pulls me in about a Rockstar romance. The first one on my list today is Shattered Chords by NN Britt. It's part of a series, but they're duets. And I did videos on the first 2 books, which were Final Serenade and One Last Verse. And now we have Shattered Chords. And then, of course, right after that, we have Red Hot Harmony. I was very excited when NN Britt said that she was going to write Dante's story. So the previous duet is Cassie and his name just flew out of my head. Cremola. Okay, I can't remember. Frankie. There we go. Cassie and Frankie. And Frank and Dante are bandmates. So we met Dante in those books, and boy, did we meet him. He's completely swept me off my feet. He took me completely by surprise. I didn't know that I could love him as much as I loved him in these books. I completely smitten kitten. He just surprised me in every way. So this is a little bit of single parent as well mixed in there. And then, of course, like I said, Rockstar. You guys, the way Nat brought in, the books take place in LA, the way she brought in LA, the music scene, the wildfires. I can't say enough about these books. Shattered Chords, Red Hot Harmonies, I can't say it. Oh, I freaking loved them. And then surprisingly enough, I only read one other Rockstar romance, which was towards the end of the year, which I freaking loved as well. Reckless Desires by the new to me author, Victoria Ellis. You guys, Isla and Bordeaux, I just loved them. I loved Bordeaux's wonder and almost awe of his own feelings towards Isla. He was a smitten kitten with her, and boy, Isla was like, not interested, which of course he freaking loved, right? I love. But that rounds up my list of contemporary romances and Rockstar romances that I read in 2021. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these, or give me your recommendations under these two umbrellas. I can't talk. I would love to hear. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. Stay tuned for my next video. See you soon.